You're listening to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast.
Hello, welcome back to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast. I am joined today by our lovely co-hosts Anna and Rick. I trust you're doing well. I'm not going to ask, I'm just going to trust it. Today we are going to go back to the year 1993, but before we do, Rick, mate, I think you've got something to read for us.
This is one of those rare times when we actually have some listener mailbag to go through. So I thought we would actually do that because it's fun to know that people want to engage with us.
Indeed. All right.
So this question comes from Lester from Queens, New York. He asks, had a few questions for you. For games you wish they made but didn't, don't you wish they made Manhunter 3? I think the series was just cancelled. Talk about leaving you hanging. Have you played Blue Force? It's a non-Sierra game made by Jim Walls. It's a police-type game, not up to Sonny Bond's level. It has a more Miami Vice feel and is more action-based. And will you cover Dynamics games like Heart of China or Rise of the Dragon? The show is great. Keep up the fun game coverage. Stay safe and be well. Well, thank you very much, Lester. So let's go through these point by point.
What a great letter.
Wasn't that nice? More of you should do that. Do that more. All of you. So question one. Don't you wish they made Manhunter 3? I think the series was just cancelled. Talk about leaving it hanging. I do and I don't. I kind of don't just because I didn't actually play Manhunter 1 and 2. I tried to. But it's one of those things. There's a lot of things about a game that can age objectively horribly, but I can totally deal with perfectly fine. But Controls is not really one of them. So the Controls I just couldn't get the hang of playing it for the first time a couple years ago. So that's my experience with the Manhunter series. I didn't know that there was any room for a Manhunter 3. Now that I know, it would have been cool if it existed, but I'm just nowhere even close to there yet. So what about you guys?
I want to say that, they should totally make it, but at the same time, I only played the first one, and I only got to the point where you were throwing the knives and trying to get it between his fingers, and then they kept throwing you out each time that you played. Mm-hmm. And I never finished the first one, and I never played the second one again. Although I do respect the fact that it would be nice to have a series completed and not be left open-ended. Mm-hmm. So in that vein, I wish that they had completed the story, and if that meant they needed a third Manhunter game, then absolutely yes. That
is a very good point. If it was, he says talk about leaving you hanging, so I'm guessing that there was some sort of like a need for a conclusion that didn't happen. But I agree. I got to the same point as you with like the knife game, but that's like the first thing that happens in the game. So that's not far at all. So that is like literally all I had time to, or all I had patience to do.
Come on, that's like 30 minutes into the game. You have to follow the first guy with the orb and do a little bit of work first.
Really? That's like first 15 minutes, like including intro for me. But anyways, Paul, have you played Manhunter?
No, I watched my dad play them. I think both of them, because all I really remember, I must have been like really young. All I really remember is the knife bit between the fingers. And Anna, you kind of made it sound like that's in the sequel, is it not?
No, it's in the first one.
It's in the first.
I've never played the sequel. Yeah.
So I've witnessed at least the first one. Okay. That being said, I would say I wish there was a third one just for the fact that it'd be another game for me that I haven't played to play. And Lester was a little subtle in his wording with left you on a cliffhanger, but it sounds like it was not concluded, so that's not good. We've already got a few Sierra titles that weren't concluded, so yeah, they definitely should have. I'm sorry, neither of us, I guess, have really played through both of them to give a definitive answer, but just knowing it wasn't actually wrapped up, then definitely. Is that weak? That's kind of weak, but it's the best we can do, I guess, having not played it. Rick, you make a good point about you make a good point about the controls thing, because recently I fired up a game called Emmanuel. Have you guys heard of that?
Not ever.
No.
It's like a kind of a naughty game, I think, like adult Leisure Suit Larry, maybe even without comedy, like just kind of risque and whatever. And for that game, the controls were even another step back, like literally unplayable. Because when they developed it, there was no mouse control, but it's like a traditional point and click. So you have to move the arrow through the entire screen with your arrow keys. I don't even know why they released the game.
Essentially, that is Manhunter. I mean, you're using your orb as a mouse cursor, using your arrow keys to direct it.
Okay. And I give Emmanuel a harder time because I forgot the year it was released, but it was released in a year that mouse support had been around for at least a year or 3. So it was like kind of no excuse. Like you're making a game that needs a mouse without mouse control, and every other game had mouse control. So it was one of those. But yeah, it's unplayable nowadays.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to skip over Blue Force because, as it turns out, Blue Force was released in 1993, which is the year that we're going to be talking about very soon.
Sure is.
So we're going to go right to Heart of China or Rise of the Dragon. Will we cover those? That's a good question. We're not opposed to covering them. I just haven't played any of those. So I was told that I should. I actually did ask people which game they wanted us to play to cover on the show, and Heart of China was voted in, but I just never got around to... I played it, I just never got around to finishing it.
Yeah, I don't really have an excuse. I have the big box for both of those games. I've never completed either of them. Terrible, I know.
Yeah, guys, exposing Achilles' heel across the board, because they've been on my, like, the very top 5 of my need to play list for years, and I just haven't. I trust in Dynamix to make a good game, but I think it's the fact that the way they present the screens, where it's like still screens that you click, there's something about it that just always catches me off from wanting to dive into it.
Yeah.
Despite everyone saying good
about
things.
that this kind of didn't really pull me in.
No, because I loved Willie Beamish, and that was the same company. So
yeah, but it looks great, and I think there's some really cool ideas in the game. I think that's kind of what ultimately made me stop, but I do get the feeling like I'm missing something because everyone keeps recommending it, and so I'm sure it's a fantastic game. One of these days, I hope to play it.
I'm really curious about Rise of the Dragon because I hear it referred to as kind of like a masterpiece in cyberpunk, and the reason I'm particularly interested in it is because it doesn't look overtly cyberpunk. You know, it doesn't look like a Blade Runner kind of environment, which kind of speaks to what cyberpunk, I guess, really is. The things we've talked about on the podcast before, you know, more about the defining the genre than the aesthetic part of it. So I'm just curious about Rise of the Dragon, because again, it doesn't look like neon lights in a rainy Tokyo, but apparently it's a very cyberpunk story at heart. So yeah, we gotta play
there is machinery, and I don't even remember, was there much of a sense of humor in that game? Maybe that's what stopped me from completing it. Maybe it was too serious, but
very
possible.
I don't remember. I know Heart of China was pretty serious.
Yeah, it was. Beautiful game though. Geez, the art very pretty.
Looks fantastic. Okay, so good questions. Thank you very much. As I mentioned before, there was one question we kind of jumped right over, and by kind of I mean totally. But that was asking about Blue Force, which the reason why I jumped over that is because it was released in 1993, which is the year of gaming that we are looking at in this episode.
Yes.
So first of all, Paul, what made you choose 1993 when we were talking about which years to cover for this episode?
Probably the fact that I originally told you guys 91, and then I Googled it and was like, let's do a hard right turn to a different year, because there just wasn't a whole lot in 91. At least that I felt I could contribute to, or whatever, disclaimer, comment you want, generic disclaimer. So yeah, I ended up picking 93 just on its merits. It's got a shocking amount of just legendary kind of classic games, and then it just so happens, well, I guess not coincidentally, that the three of us have played a great deal of them as well.
Well, you know what's weird about 1993? I looked up the page in Wikipedia that would give me a rundown of like the games that came out, and it looked like almost nothing. Like some really good ones of the ones that were there, but otherwise, it looked a little bit thin. But it turns out that's just like the notable games that came out that year. It's just like the short list. And if you pull up like the more comprehensive list, there's a lot. And not only are there a lot that they didn't have on the highlights page, but there's a lot of really good games that came out this year that didn't make it out. Like they're buried away in Wikipedia that you have to kind of go out of your way to really dig for. There's some good ones.
Yeah, it's you put it really well. 91's entire list was the size of 93's legendary titles list.
Well, we got to jump right back into...
making this personal about 91.
If we're going to start somewhere good as far as 1993 goes, we should start at Cool Spot. Did either of you guys play Cool Spot?
I think I've played it a couple times, like, ironically. And, one of those things where it's sort of like, hey, look, it's Cool Spot. I'll put that on for 5 minutes. But honestly, I don't know. I'm not saying that to criticize the game. I actually didn't give it a chance, but have I played it? Technically, yes.
It was a great game. I spent a lot of time on it. I expected to be like, oh, some brand named game. It's stupid. I was totally against that kind of stuff. And then I was like, shit, I had it on Sega. This is a really good game. It was a fun run and jump collecting coins, and the graphics were pretty, and it was just an all around good game.
Yeah, it played really well. Like I said, it wasn't, I'm not criticizing it. It was definitely better than Yo Noid.
I was just going to go there.
Was that the same year? I don't know. I get the feeling like maybe Yo Noid was a little bit earlier, but I'm basing that on absolutely nothing.
I was just going to smash my giant red bring up the Noid game button. I did play Cool Spot, kind of in the same vein as you, Rick. It was like, I played it ironically, but I didn't know it was called, doing things ironically wasn't really a coined thing at the time, so maybe I didn't know it was ironic, but it was. Cool Spot, it's weird, right? Because there's been so many like cheap licensed BSE games, and this one stuck. Like, I definitely played it. Like I said, I have zero recollection of playing it. I'm sure it's fine, but there must be something special about it. Just because you don't hear people talk about the Noid games, or I feel like Pepsi had one. Maybe, I don't know. Doesn't matter. There was a lot of crap.
So I'm just going to right now give a bit of a disclaimer that we can't possibly cover every single good game that came out in 1993. We're going to be here for a very long time if we did. Like, I'm looking at this, I just realized that this huge page is not even the entire list. This only goes up to F. And already I'm like, we don't have time to cover all of this. Like, there's some amazing stuff here. So if we forgot a game, it's just because like we have to cover the ones that meant the most to us personally, which means that, I don't know, Paul, I know you should definitely talk about Blue Forest. I can't remember if you played that one, Anna, because that was specifically asked about. I know I can't personally talk about Betrayal of Krondor, but I will note that came out this year. I hear that's one of the amazing classics, like all-time classics, but I never played it, so...
No, neither. Beautiful game, though, just from looking at screenshots and stuff. Wowie.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now.
So let's all pick some of our favorite games of this year.
Okay, well, I'll buy you guys some time by starting with Blue Force, because we don't want to miss that since it was asked. Honestly, Lester said it better than I could. He said it in a really neat... well-delivered little package where I think he mentioned it had kind of a Vice City vibe, a little more action-based. Everything he said was spot on. Thank you, yeah.
Vice City was not out yet.
I don't know what's real anymore. But, I mean, he's basically spot on. I think I've touched on the show before, so I'll keep it brief. But for me, it was a weird game because this is the part I beat to death before. It's a weird game because you play a cop, and in the first act you get injured, and then you spend the rest of the game off duty. And it was just a little weird because you lost the fun freedoms of being a cop, which I liked in Police Quest, where it's like, now we get to walk behind the yellow line and, see things behind closed doors. And then if you make yourself an off-duty cop who's looking up your parents' murder, you shouldn't be looking up what you're looking up. You're sneaking around like a pedestrian. Just like a pedestrian. So it's kind of weird. I think that's what bothered me about the game. But at its core, it was still a fun time. I still rushed through it in like a day and a half or something. So it was a really good game. It's just weird to be like, hey, in this game you get to be a cop, but without anything that makes being a cop, effective in the game. It's weird.
It's funny. I love the Police Quest games, but I didn't even know that this game existed or that it was developed or designed by Jim Walls until we started chatting between us. I didn't even know it was a thing. So it is up there on my list of games to check out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I knew about it at the time just because my parents had a magazine store, so I read about it. So I knew as much then as I do now, which isn't entirely a lot, especially considering I haven't actually played it, but it's been on my list for the past, like, I guess coming up on 30 years or something like that, or 20 years or whatever it's been. It's been on my list. So, you know how it goes.
You're really good at procrastinating.
Oh, God, I'm an expert. I almost kind of don't want to break the streak now.
Right.
In terms of like my game of the year, I probably have to say, looking at there's some really good. Oh, I can't just give a game of the year.
Oh, how do you pick one? Oh, you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of my all-time favorites came out this year. So
exactly.
Glancing over a few console game releases that were pretty big. We got Kirby's Adventure. We got Star Fox. Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. So it was a big year for consoles.
I still remember thinking Star Fox looked amazing. You know, it's really, that's a weird. I can feel the feelings I felt then, and then to look at a screenshot of it while I'm feeling that is
yeah,
disappointing.
Consoles also saw Secret of Mana. That's a really good one. Mega Man 6 and Mega Man X. That's like some of the highlight of the console releases that year. Day of the Tentacle, June of 1993. I've already made my experiences with Day of the Tentacle known very well in previous episodes.
Yeah, and as well with the error at the very end of the game before you got to bowl.
Right.
Later that year, we had Sam and Max Hit the Road, so a big year for LucasArts in terms of like classic favorites.
Yeah, that one was really good. Back to Sierra, though, Freddy Farkas. I love that
come out
game.
this year? Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Quest for Glory 4, obviously. I mean, don't have to mention, of course, we were fans of that game.
I did not know that it was 93, though. That is, I'm not even on that page yet, but so I had no idea, but absolutely, yeah, everyone knows how big a game that, oh man, yeah.
Oh, I have one question for you, Rick. What about Alone in the Dark 2? What was your opinion on that? I'm quite curious.
I don't know. I did not play that one.
Oh, okay.
Holy cow,
I liked it, but I couldn't get as into it. I loved that, the first one, though, so much.
Yeah. I just never had the opportunity to play it. But by the looks of it, 93 is a big year for Sierra because we also had Gabriel Knight and Space Quest 5. So right there, Space Quest 5, Quest for Glory 4, and Gabriel Knight. Like already that's how much does that cover, right?
And throw in Sam and Max and Day of the Tentacle. I'm not sure there'd be a stronger year adventure game wise.
Ultimate 7 Part 2 Serpentile, Ultimate Underworld 2. Like, this is huge. Like, I had no idea when I first opened up this page.
Yeah, this is borderline overwhelming.
It kind of is. I don't even know. I can't even go into depth about any of this because, like, we can go through the whole half hour just reading off the titles.
Did either of you play Simon the Sorcerer? I didn't even discover it till a few years ago.
I've always known of it. And that's the most I can say about that one.
I got it as an app. It's actually a pretty decent conversion. Not that I played the original. Don't actually listen to what I'm saying, but I liked it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, at the very end of this, there's so many like gun to your head kind of decisions. We should force ourselves to somehow pick one favorite just for fun.
Oh dear Lord. Well, let me put it this way. This is such a big year for gaming that in that whole list of like just like the highlights of the year, SimCity 2000 didn't even make it on there. And it came out in 93. So if SimCity 2000 didn't make the cut, there's a lot that's Dear Lord, like, look how many there are.
Disney's Aladdin back to consoles. I spent a lot of time playing that game.
That's right. One of the best for the Genesis.
Yeah, I loved that one.
You can really start to see point-and-click adventures would definitely still have a good few years of a run from here on, but you can really start to see that there's like the Seventh Guest, Myst, and Return to Zork. So you really see them starting to shift at around this time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very much so. That's really interesting thinking about it this way. You know, because I played these games, as I've mentioned before, so out of order that it's kind of a bit of a realization when I'm seeing what year it actually came out, like, for real. Oh, Leisure Suit Larry 6. Shit, did we even say that one?
Not yet.
That came out too. And that was cool with me because I was mad at 5, as I've mentioned before, because it wasn't 4 and it wasn't a parser game. But by the time 6 came out, I was okay with it and I understood it would be a point and click, and they removed some of the babysitting and hand holding that happened in number 5.
Right.
So I did like that.
Yeah, I was just noticing too, we got Freddy Farkas was on here too. That I feel like that's now that I finally played it, an underrated game. That was a lot of fun.
I love
you played that one, right?
Prescriptions and mixing up the pharmaceuticals. I loved that game.
Yeah, that game was really, really fun. Yeah, like you said, the pharmaceutical, that part was addicting. I was bummed when we didn't get to do it anymore in the game.
I know, that was the best. So
another huge milestone in gaming is the end of 1993 when Doom came out.
Oh, yeah. Changed everything.
Yeah. Like, this is stacked. But to be honest, and I love Doom, don't get me wrong. Many, many hours, many, many days having a good time with Doom. But for me, Syndicate came out in 93 and Syndicate was the game. Like, this was... all the games I've mentioned before were awesome. But Syndicate was like something else. Like, this was a game I did not think before that anyone would. I didn't think a game like that would have come out as early as that did, if that makes sense. Like, I expected a game like that to have been a few years away from happening.
Yeah.
I remember, walking over to a Radio Shack and seeing it on the computer there. And after that, I'd like walk to that Radio Shack every day to play a little bit more of Syndicate because I couldn't believe it. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, here's an action game where a lot of people are walking around and I happen to have a gun. But surely they're not going to let me just shoot anyone I want. And they're like, yeah, you can. You totally can. Do it. Try it. And I'm like, okay, can I shoot everyone in the entire mission? Like, oh yeah, go for it. If you really want to, go right ahead. It's like I did not think
this. I missed this entirely.
I was not expecting a game to be able to let me do that at the time that came out.
How does it handle it? So you like, is it kind of like how is it freeformed that way? Explain it to me a little.
It's just an open. I wouldn't say open world because you do just go by level, but each level is populated with random pedestrians, and anyone that's moving is killable.
Wow.
And that's all there is to it. And, there's obviously missions. You have goals. You have things you're supposed to do. So you can kill
the wrong person and screw yourself over.
Oh, no, you don't screw yourself over, no. I mean, unless you're supposed to protect someone, then, yeah, don't kill that person. But most of the missions where you're not actively protecting somebody, you can just go to town. Just do whatever you want. Like, if your mission is to assassinate somebody and you decide that you're just going to like kill everyone in the entire level, go to it. Like, if you really want, like, they would just let you.
Huh.
That's cool. I'm glad you explained it that way because we get so used to hearing people have, like a one special game. And if you haven't played it, you're just kind of like, cool, I'm super glad you like it. but you explained it in a way that actually, helps me understand why it was so exciting to you. Because the only way I can relate it sounds like your first experience with like Grand Theft Auto.
I was just about to say, like, imagine Grand Theft Auto, but not quite, but much earlier.
Right. Much earlier. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
because the first time I felt like that was the first Grand Theft, which was, I don't know, 98 or something like that. But yeah, I had that same moment of like, this is special and different.
Well, Well, was this done by Bullfrog Games?
Yes.
As well?
That's right.
Okay, so they kind of liked to stretch the idea of heaven and earth and the types of games. They really kind of expanded the genre, and their games were often very complicated, but also very rewarding.
Peter Molyneux definitely was ambitious in everything he did. And sometimes it paid off and sometimes it didn't. But Syndicate, I definitely think, was just like so much ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Dungeon Keeper, Populous. I've made many an enemy talking down about those games. But like, honestly, I'm not like even talking down about them. I'm talking down about myself, my intelligence, and my ability to figure them out, because I'm sure they're amazing and rewarding. And I'm so happy that you're able to figure them out. I just never was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. When I think of Syndicate, I think complicated is maybe the thing that I think of first.
Yeah.
it just gives a complicated vibe off.
I can't even think of one of their games I really got far in, like Black and White. I didn't. The Fable series, nope. Like, I tried.
Some real outliers in the genres as well. Return of the Phantom came out this year, as did Star Trek Judgment Rights. At least one of those is a very solid point-and-click adventure game. Very well regarded today. And the other is Return of the Phantom.
Yeah. Oh, was that a dig? Have you played it?
I really wanted to. I played the demo disc that came on the cover of a magazine, and I got nothing against it, but it's a game that everyone knows the name of, but I've not heard very much particularly great about it. I think it's just sort of one of those things which you kind of had to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. If I sounded oddly defensive, it wasn't on purpose, too. It wasn't like, how did I've not played it. I want to. I think there's something about it just intriguing, but I will say if and when I do, it'll be the floppy version, because the talkie version of this game is a deal breaker. It's horrendous, the voice acting.
Of Return of the Phantom?
Yeah, really bad. I think it was Pushing Up Roses who did a video on it.
Probably. Sounds like Sanctuary.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right,
exactly. Probably. If that's the case, yeah, you can check that out and you'll get a sample of it's bad. It's a tough listen.
And I would say a genre was started in a way because Myst came out in 1993. Now, I've never completed it nor gotten past the first room. I hope neither of you have either, but I would like to acknowledge that did happen, and it was a big deal for many people.
Yeah. Including, apparently, Richard Garriott, which I was really quite surprised by. That was apparently one of his favorite games.
Well, he's really smart, though. He's one of those people that have those brains, you know?
And that's why I just don't feel right about making fun of it anymore. Because it's like, damn it, he kind of gave it immunity now.
Fair enough.
Can't. Yeah. So, counter to Blue Force, Police Quest Open Season came out this year.
Oh, yeah. I did play that back in the day. I never completed it. And I remember thinking it wasn't really a part of the series, so to speak. But I remember being like, holy shit, this is like so realistic.
We got Phantasy Star 4, which I hear is the best of the series. That stands out to me right now because I did hear your last episode when you covered 1989, was it? And you just completely jumped past Phantasy Star 2.
We did.
I have not forgiven you for that one yet, but we will talk about that in another episode. Because I think Phantasy Star 2 deserves a whole episode to itself, which is why when I heard you guys just completely gloss over it, I was just like, oh, you!
Yeah, so as a payment, Rick's making Paul and I both play Phantasy Star 2.
Yeah, at least a bit of it. You're not going to get through the whole thing, trust me.
I believe you.
Prince of Persia 2, Shadow in the Flame, came out in 1993. So that's a fantastic one. Hard as hell, but I'm so proud of myself I actually beat that one on my own.
I couldn't beat that game with cheats.
It's hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, I really couldn't. We've also got Cryrandia. Oh, that word gives me a stroke, I swear. It's so hard to say. Cryrandia.
Thank you. Which Cryrandia came out? Was it the first one? Or
no, it was book 2. I did say that all excited, like, because the covers bloody looked similar to me. I thought it was the first one. But still, that one came out, the second one.
Oh, here's a game that I was not aware of before, and I really want to play this just by reading the title. RoboCop versus the Terminator.
Yeah, how have we not played that? That's like, is that like Alien versus Predator? Because that also came out in 93.
Oh, is that when it came out?
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder how similar they are.
Phenomenal. What a phenomenal year.
Ooh, Clay Fighter. Did we mention that one? Clay Fighter was hilarious.
Clay Fighter, Mech Warrior, Master of Orion. I give up. I can't talk about this year anymore. There's nothing I can't say. I can't even focus on any one thing. As soon as I want to say anything about a game, I see another one that's like, ooh, that one.
Yeah. No, it's hard not to just list things because it's you can't spend too much time on any one thing when the next one on the list is legendary.
Yeah.
I'll say for a kind of edutainment crossing into that line, we'll start off light and then go full edutainment. Starting off light, we had Corey Cole's Island of Dr. Brain came out, which is incredible. We had Pepper's Adventures in Time, which I believe Jane Jensen wrote on that game. I could be wrong about that, but it's kind of too random to be wrong. I don't know. And then Echo Quest 2, Lost Secrets of the Rainforest. I bloody personally love that game. Echo Quest 2, if you haven't played it and you're considering it, don't think of it as a edutainment game because it's I'm 30, I don't know, 7 probably, and it was super fun.
Wait, did Echo Quest come out 93? I don't see it on my big list.
Yes.
The second one, not the first one.
Yeah, sorry, the second one. Like, any Echo Quest I don't really see on this list.
I've never played the second one. I've only played the first one, and the first one I only played within the last year, so.
Yeah, you're right. It came out in 93, and that one wasn't even on the big list of games that came out this year.
Oh, wow. So who knows what else? Yeah.
Yeah, who knows what else? Oops. But you know what did make it on this list is Malibu Bikini Volleyball.
That's important.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, Metal Marines. Oh man, this was like the early to mid 90s were just the golden years of classic gaming. Like I'm just like kid in the candy store just looking at this list right now.
Yeah,
like you could probably live in this year and just be gaming happily for.
This could be like a 4-part series this year, and this would just be like the prologue, the index. And for I know there's a lot of humongous fans out there. So Fatty Bear's Birthday Surprise came out, and so did Putt Putt Goes to the Moon, and they're bloody
was
classics,
humongous
mate.
Ron Gilbert's? I didn't even know that. Oh my god! Huh?
Yeah, I think
that is so cool.
Yeah,
I love the little Putt Putt games, and Putt Putt saves the zoo. Putt Putt saves the zoo. They're great little games. I love those. What about Ultima 7 Part 2? Those came out too.
I did mention that one, yes.
You say that? Okay.
Veil of Darkness. Another one, which I think people would really want to hear being referred to by name, because nobody ever refers to Veil of Darkness by name anymore. So, okay, I mean, at this point we could just like read off everything, so let's just try to focus up a little bit, and let's pick like our top 3 of this year. And as soon as somebody says one, the next person can't use any of those previously selected. So I will go last to give you guys a chance to actually talk, because I've been dominating this one just by reading out titles.
I'll call second. Yes.
Oh, fine. Okay. Well, then I'm going to go for top
That was almost
3.
the word fuck.
Might have been. Fuck. Okay. So I'm going to go for that year was a great year. But the games that really probably got my goat that year would be Quest for Glory 4, Freddy Farkas, Frontier Pharmacist, and toss up between a few. But I'm going to have to say Sam and Max Hit the Road, because that game blew me away that year as well.
Sorry, I just want to make sure these are the ones that you like, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Getting my goat is not a good thing.
Oh, got my goat in a good way. I guess that's a phrase that means bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Then Sam and Max really spoke to me because it was rude and it was sassy, and that was exactly what I needed at that time.
Just think of it as like, hey, that's my goat. Why are you trying to get it? You know,
That makes even less sense than where we were before. At least when it was wrong, it made sense that it was wrong. Now it's just, there's no meaning to anything anymore.
So that's my top 3 for the year. Y'all can't use any of them. Go.
Okay, so you said Quest for Glory 4, Freddy Farkas, and 7 Max?
Yes.
Okay. Paul, top 3, 92.
This is absurd to be made to do this.
Right?
I'm very unhappy. Okay, first easy pick is Gabriel Knight, because I go around claiming that's in my top 3, so I'm just going to stick with that, not think about it. Yeah, Sins of the Fathers, amazing game. I can't not put Space Quest 5 on there, because we all know how much I bang on about Space Quest, and that's probably my favorite Space Quest, or 3. Or 4 or 2 or 1, it doesn't matter. So there's 2, Space Quest 5, Gabriel Knight. The third one is where I become less efficient in answering.
Day of the Tentacle.
Okay.
You're probably going to go with that, right? You were probably going to go with that?
Yeah.
Okay. What is making you hesitate? What game on this list would have challenged Day of the Tentacle for you?
Yeah.
Strummer, or my son, was really into Day of the Tentacle for a long time, but with a young child's attention span. So I've played the first hour and a half of that game like 40 times. It's like when you have so much of a good dessert that you throw it up one day and then you can't even smell it again.
Right.
It's kind of how I feel about Day of the Tentacle, where I'm just like, ugh, like I know I love it and I know it's a great game. I'm just so sick of it. But yeah, I'll just leave it. Sam & Max is great though. You know what? The listeners can pick my third. One of them too.
And you can't choose 7 Max because Anna already did.
Okay, well that settles it then. Yeah. All right.
No doubles.
Yeah.
No doubles. We're going with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God. People are going to be so pissed off at the games that we haven't even mentioned. I've listed off like 50 games. And I still haven't gotten through all the good ones. So I mean, honorable mention to Ultimate 7 Part 2, Lemmings 2, and Prince of Persia 2. Those are definitely honorable. I'm probably going to go with Dark Sun Shattered Lands, Syndicate, and I guess without going through the entire list again and making myself even more indecisive, you know what? Mortal Kombat 2 came out, so there you go. I was just about
somebody
to say,
just grabbed your butt kind of ooh.
So yeah, I mean, Mortal Kombat 2. I have to put that in. It's not that I like it better than some of the games that I already just relegated to my honorable mention, but I'm not going back on what I just said. So there you go. There's so many games. I can't. All of 1993 is like my favorite.
Yeah.
The only thing, I think the only year that I would even say I could probably argue would be better than this was 1992. So imagine being a kid in those, like, between 1990 to 1993. Like, this is just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
so good.
What we'll have to do is we should, as we kind of slowly go through these year episodes or whatever, we should consider pitting them against each other. Even if we just do like one more, we should put the 3 of them against each other.
Yeah, and we've done similar before.
That's right. I was there.
Yeah, you were.
You'd think I'd remember it. Yeah. Well, I hope the listeners will be just amazed at the fact that we just kept going. Like every next game you mentioned was like another Jesus. I can't believe you know, like when you brought up Doom more than halfway through. Like I can imagine being baffled just listening to this and being like, this is still 93. Like it really is kind of incredible. It's going to be hard to beat this year.
Yeah, this is. I'm done. My brain is melted. I can't go further.
Now, here's a game I've never played before, Innocent Until Caught. Apparently, it came out in 1993 as well. Either of you heard of it? It's an adventure game.
I have. Was that Accolade? No, it wasn't.
It's actually, it looks kind of pretty. Yeah, doesn't it, though? Look at the graphics. Cool. I'm like, why have I missed this game?
Yeah, for real. Yeah, and I quickly said I've heard of it because I've been staring at probably the same list as you, so I keep looking at it, but now that I'm actually looking at these screenshots, I kind of feel like I did somehow miss this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I might have to go give that a shot sometime.
Google that. It looks amazing.
One of the most despicable adventure game protagonists. I like that.
I think we're all tuckered out. That was exhausting.
That was a lot.
I'm dehydrated from this episode.
I know, I need a drink now, jeez.
And we barely talked about any of them.
We kind of didn't. It's too hard to, like, if you're looking at a list and you see the next one coming up, it's never at one point where you're like, we should stop here for a second.
All right, fine. We're already like so over time at this point that I just give up. We're just going to go. And with that, I am not going to say another word for the rest of this episode. It's on you guys.
Well, we've done our overall highlight. We've picked what we like out of the year.
Yeah. I think we should just stop there. Mm-hmm. So, thanks for listening to the show again. We appreciate you guys. Buddy, find us on Facebook, the Classic Gamers Guild. We're a page, we're a group. Come join the bloody conversation. Also, if you don't mind, give us a bloody review on iTunes or wherever you get it, because I'm told it helps with finding the show in searches and things like that. I don't know. It's supposed to be a good thing. So if you don't mind, just drop us a quick bloody review, or don't. But if you don't, you can feel my guilt from across the sea. I don't know where I'm going with that. Instagram at CGG Podcast, Twitter at the CG Guild. You can send us an email if you like, which you would like, wouldn't you? Come on, nudgy nudge. Mail at classicgamersguild.com. Special thank you to all of our Patreons. Sincerely, thank you so much, guys, for the motivation and the support and the help. And to those in our extra special thanks tier, Jay Holmes and Mark Fillion. You guys are legends. Thank you so much. Please check out Mark's game, Chinatown Detective Agency. Go bloody wishlist that on Steam. It's coming out soon and it looks amazing. And that's it. I'm all done talking at you. So bloody have a good day and, don't do a murder.